Hello, my name is Allison Corman, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. Today I want to talk to you about what's next. I know a lot of us are starting to feel this way. We're reading articles in the news, and we hear that more and more people are taking the vaccine and cases decreasing in a lot of places around the world. A lot of us are starting to wonder what our lives are going to be like. Will we go back to work? Will our children be in school? Will people be wearing masks? And so, yes, there's a lot of thoughts about the uncertainty of what the outside world will look like. But what I also notice is happening is that we're all having a lot of thoughts about how we will re-enter the world. If you're like me and you spent a lot of time at home and a lot of time in isolation or with very few people, you got to know yourself a little better. You got to understand what you like and what you don't like and what's meaningful to you and what's not meaningful to you. And so when you think about seeing more people going out into the world, going back to work, it's much easier to identify what we do for ourselves because we like it and what we do because we think that's what other people accept or that's what's expected of us. And this came up for me the other day. I was wearing one of my favorite t-shirts and I was going to be interviewed on another podcast. And because I didn't know if it was going to be a video interview, I did my hair, I did my makeup. And then I looked down and I saw my shirt. And there must have been a rip in my shirt for 6 months and I didn't know it. And I really enjoyed wearing the shirt. But there I was at that moment that I know I wanted to wear the shirt. But how would people look at me if there was a hole in my shirt? And yes, at the end of the day, I changed my shirt because I didn't think it was appropriate to have an interview with a hole in my shirt. But then I thought, why? When you really think about resources and being wasteful, or you think about what really is meaningful and what's not, it really shouldn't matter. And I know this is just a little thing, but then I really started to think about all the things I used to do every day. How I used to feel when I had a conflict with someone at work, how I used to feel about how I would get dressed or what I would look like. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to go back to a situation where I'm conforming too much to what corporate America wants, what my family expects from me, what my friends expect from me, what work expects from me. Yes, I want to do a good job, but what's meaningful to me and what do I care about? And I have a feeling you are probably asking yourself the same thing. What is really meaningful to you? How much of your old life do you want to pick back up? Yes, many people are unemployed and they need jobs and we need money. And we need to take care of our children and they need to go to school. But there's a lot of excess that we hold every day. And some of it's really not important. And the more we carry on our back every day, the more burdened we are. But also, the less meaningful our lives become. Because if it's based on what the outside world expects from us, it's going to disconnect us from our authenticity and what we really want for our lives. We're spending a lot of time thinking about the uncertainty of the world going back to what it was. But it's also a really important time because we have more certainty right now about who we are. So how do we take that certainty and bring it out to the world? And it could be a little scary for some people. I'm sure a lot of you who are thinking about maybe your job is not that fulfilling, or maybe your relationship's not that fulfilling, or maybe you found something about your interests that you don't know how to express. But what an amazing time for us to really start tapping into this. When are we going to have this silence, this deep connection with who we are again? Yes, we could start a meditation practice and start to be more thoughtful and take more walks and exercise. But still, we're left with this question of how do we bring our beautiful individuality back out into the world? And I know my story about having a hole in my shirt is not the most meaningful thing. But it is interesting to look at all the things in life you do because you want to, because they're meaningful to you, or you do them because society expects you to do them. Your family, your friends, the job. And even if we decide to do those things, at the end of the day, at least we're aware of why and we're aware of who we are. And when we can step out and know who we are and know what gives our life meaning, and know when we're compromising and know when we're not, I think we're going to make better choices in our lives. And I think we're going to stay more authentic. And as much as we think that the world might not want to see it, the more powerful we are, the more whole we are, the more creative we are, we will just be more successful. Maybe it's going to be in a different field, but maybe it's going to be at that meeting that, we're sitting at with a hole in our shirt, but we are so comfortable and we are so ourselves that we're going to come up with a really great idea because we're not holding anything back. And when we don't hold anything back, we access all that's possible. We are actually living in pure maybe, because maybe is that idea that so much more is possible than we think. But when we're so sure we need to be a certain way to be successful, we need to say a certain thing to be successful, we're not allowing all the possibilities to happen. So in a way, this is really our internal maybe, our internal possibilities, which come from being free within ourselves. So a great exercise would actually be the maybe practice, but internally. And we could ask ourselves, what is our biggest fear about ourselves? If I speak up more, I will lose my job. If I really pursue the things in my life that I love, I won't be successful. If I'm not in this relationship anymore, how will I be on my own? If I really allow all of me to come forward, I won't be liked. I will be judged. I will give up my success. And then ask yourself, are these fears true? And you cannot be absolutely certain that any of your fears are true, because the future's unknown and you have no idea what's going to happen next. And that's the beauty of questioning your fears, because you can't be certain about them. And that means maybe they're not true. And maybe more is possible than you think. And you start doing those maybe statements. Maybe who I am is enough. Maybe if I take all the things I learned this year and I bring them forward, I will be more successful. I will be more creative. Maybe that idea for that business is fabulous. Maybe I can make it on my own. Maybe I don't want this job anymore and I want a more meaningful life. Maybe I can go back to school. Maybe I can start a new relationship. Maybe there's so much more possible for me in this moment if I allow myself to be everything that I truly am. And do these maybe statements every day, twice a day. Or find a maybe mantra. Maybe I am enough the way I am. Maybe if I speak up, I will have more success. Maybe there's nothing wrong with me. We have no idea what's going to happen next, but I think this year has taught us how sacred each moment is, and how many blessings we have in our lives, and how precious everything can be. And we shouldn't waste our time compromising and plotting and planning for things that might never happen. But we can commit to having a meaningful life, a life that fills us up with love and kindness and possibilities, living a life from an open heart, which connects us to other people and the things that we love and the things that elevate and create a better world. But if we're holding a piece of ourselves back because we're afraid that the outside world might not like us, might not approve, then we're never going to be our best selves. And it takes a lot of energy sometimes to make a change. But we have the power within, especially when we're living from a clear intention and an open heart. You don't need everyone in the world to approve of you. You don't need everyone to like you. You just need to be you. And after all of us spending a year in solitude or being quiet or sacrificing or not doing all the things we love, let's go out into the world as our best selves. Because when we are our most authentic, beautiful, divine selves, we can live with the hope that maybe the best is yet to come. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my book, The Gift of Maybe, it's available at all major bookstores and online retailers. And if you like this podcast, you could subscribe and leave a comment.